Hey everyone, welcome to Over the Bars. My guest today is Calirado Kid, a YouTube content creator who does amazing YouTube videos, TikTok videos, Instagram reels. This guy's on fire. And so he's one of my favorite YouTubers. And so I reached out to him and he was kind enough to say yes to the experiment with Boston Don. So my guest tonight is Calirado Kid.
Hey, it's me. I've been waiting for a long time. Immediately, I just want to get on camera. That's the first things first. Let's get me on camera in front of everybody to see, and then we're good to go. Look, a lot of people at this point are like, it's debatable whether or not I'm a YouTuber because I haven't uploaded a YouTube video in like 3 months, but that's fine. The shorts kind of count, but most people will say they don't. So yeah, here we are, Instagram, social media, content creator of the century.
Yeah, you are. And mustache connoisseur.
Yeah, 100%. This thing is just wet and wild, man. Incredible.
Love it. Love it. So how did this whole thing come about? Do you want to go by Calirado or do you want to go by Joe? It doesn't matter.
You can call me Joe. Everybody knows I'm Joe now. It's funny when I first started this thing, people didn't know my name. In fact, the funny story behind that, I went and did what I called the Calirado Kid's Grand Return to Colorado. And when I did that trip, I had very low subscriber counts, sub 1,000 on YouTube at the time, non-existent on Instagram, didn't even know what a TikTok was. And so I went out to Colorado and I rode with Shane. I had messaged Crashing Dad on Instagram and I was like, hey, I'm coming out there. Is it cool if we can ride, right? Or you could just point me in the right direction because I might be a creeper. You don't know, right?
Right.
And so we met up. He's like, yeah, sure, I'll go ride with you. We can figure this out. So we met up at the trailhead. And the first thing that happens, and this is the funniest thing, and it's the first time it happened to me, is we met each other, and he was like, hey, my name's Shane. And I'm like, whoa, my name's Joe. Like realizing that despite the fact that we had talked quite a bit at this point, neither of us knew each other's real names. Like, so we, because we just went by Instagram handles. So it was funny that happened. And so when you say like, now everybody knows my name is Joe, at the time I was just like Calirado. I never said my name in anything. So it was kind of funny. Anyways, like to your point, yes, you could just call me Joe. It's fine.
All right, Joe. So how did you find mountain biking? Because, this is all, your channel is all about mountain biking, although there was some fishing in the beginning of your channel.
Yeah. I always had this grand idea that I would just go to the same pond and never catch a fish out of it. And that would be an ongoing video series for me. Just like, this time's really going to change, my luck's really going to change. And anyways, like I still never did catch a fish out of that pond. There were several early videos where I would go and ride and like I shot some footage and I was like, if I don't catch a fish, I'm not even going to put this video out. And sure enough, I just never caught anything. So there's some very early takes of me riding and fishing.
Yeah.
But the mountain bike game started in a very, very simple fashion. This fashion that I think a lot of people's mountain bike careers started is watching a content creator on YouTube and going, that looks cool. And, I grew up with Brian, BKXC. And so when I started seeing him do it and I found out he had a YouTube channel,
I'm just saying.
I can only say it so many times. I did a recent live stream, by the way, where I said Brian way too many. I can only name drop Brian 3 times, and then I have to start drinking. That's what we've discovered in my live streams. So anyways, like watching his videos, and over the course of a year or so, I finally realized like, oh, you can actually do that. So finally found a bike, got into it. And of course, like, as you can see, it was pretty obvious that I got hooked like pretty hard. So
totally hooked. And so as a kid, did you ride bikes as a kid, or is this, did you, you didn't just pick up mountain biking with no biking experience?
I mean, I knew how to ride a bike. I had a specialized like hardtail with a fork on it, but I didn't do anything spectacular. Like I was capable and fit, but like I never knew what a Strava was. I never really knew what trail systems were. I didn't have anybody to ride with. It wasn't like I had a network. It was just like, I never really ridden a real mountain bike trail in the sense of like, when you go ride a trail now, we climb up, we do downhill, like nothing like that. So coming into the game was pretty blind. Coming in pretty blind for sure.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that. No, you mentioned BKXC. Did you and you grew up with him? So did you lose touch? And then when you started watching the YouTube videos, that's when you kind of reconnected on the mountain bike riding level, or had you been in touch with him all along?
No, it's funny because we graduated high school and then people go their separate ways.
Yeah.
And we had talked occasionally because he was in a buddy's fantasy football league, so we talk about that sometimes. But eventually, I moved to Colorado for a couple of years, then I moved to LA for a couple of years, so I was out and about. He's always lived in Vallejo, but wasn't until he started that. And for some reason, I don't know what he did. He posted on Facebook or something. I was like, what? That's cool. You could do a YouTube channel? And he was like very early on in this thing. And it was like, I would watch every video religiously. And it was like 3 videos a week, this maniac. Maybe like, can you imagine how much time I've spent on this guy? All right, come on. But yeah, it was interesting. It was funny. He really committed at the start. And I think he got in, I mean, obviously right at the right time, but running 3 videos a week, the exposure level was insane. No wonder why his like numbers just skyrocketed. It was really wild. I mean, just producing content that people weren't making, documenting trails. It was incredible. It was like nobody was doing it. It's so cool.
And then so you're starting to ride, and you are basically, are you at that point, are you like when you bought your first real mountain bike, you know, you're learning the sport. Did you have aspirations to like, you know, go, not that you would go to Utah to do the crap, now I can't remember. I had it in my head. The Red Bull event, you know, you weren't going to go to jump
Rampage.
Yeah, Rampage. It wasn't like you were, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to become, you know, go and jump and be crazy. But did you wanted to learn more skills, I bet, when you first started?
I've always been, and I've said this before, I've always been an adventure rider. Like I like the idea of getting out on the trail, seeing things I've never seen before. And I think I parallel Brian a lot in that regard, because like he travels the world and rides new trails. And to me, like seeing new trails and experiencing new towns, and like that's one of the driving factors of this sport for me. And it always has been. So like the idea of doing jumps and sick stunts has never been my thing. And it's rad that people do it. It's certainly not my specialty, but it's pretty, I like just going out, getting in the backcountry, getting into hijinks, and realistically just being on the bike for me is a good time. And the fact that I know more people in the sport now, because obviously when I started, I didn't, is very advantageous. You know, you got a lot of people that I can reach out to in different towns. I'm going to plan a trip up north soon, and I got a million people I can hit up and just say, hey, let's go ride. And it makes my job a lot easier. I don't have to plan anything. I don't have to look at Strava. Just show me where to go.
Yep. Just let me get on my bike and follow you.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's a lot of fun. Like for me, I like the downhill. I like the rocks and roots. And so my style of riding is, you know, trying to plow through rocks, you know, and go as fast downhill as I can. I don't have a downhill bike, so I do it on my, you know, all mountain bike, but I just like that type of thing. And your adventure seeking for me is like me going to Ireland, or me going to, you know, outside of my, you know, my area here, and maybe going up to Vermont and riding trail systems up there. And that is a lot of fun. And what is lucky for you is that you've been doing this for a while. And as you just said, you know people everywhere.
Yeah. And
that allows you to seek out those new trails, but you get new people in your life, in your circle. And that's,
I've often found that going on a ride with someone can establish a relationship very quickly. Like, you know, if you know somebody and you DM them and stuff like that, it's a different story. When you go on a group, like not even a group ride, you could go on a solo ride, but this is not a solo, it's a duo ride if you got 2 people.
Yeah,
but if you go on a ride with somebody, like, you know, you can immediately establish like a cool relationship, like right off the bat. Cause it's like, man, you spend some time together versus like, and it's quality time together. It's not like, you know,
because you're
again,
giving each other shit. You know,
yeah,
like,
exactly. Exactly.
And that's
so it's funny, like how many friendships are formed that way. I run into people on the trail and they go, hey, I dig the channel. I was like, sorry for all the terrible content I've made you watch, but if you want to ride, let's go. And so you meet a lot of people that way too. It's pretty cool.
Of course. And so at what point did you go, I want to try to make a video. I bought this GoPro and I'm going to do something with it.
It's funny because one of the things I've talked about in the past is like how, as somebody who has been creative, I was in a position with my job that like, it's a very technical position. Yep. And I found myself losing a certain element of my creativity. So I was like, man, I really want to do something that forces me out of my comfort zone again and get really back into the creative side of things, which I used to do, man. I was just kind of out of it. So, anyways, one of the things that held me up for a long time was the idea that like so many other people were doing it. And it's like, at that point, you're like, oh, what am I going to do? Ride around on a bike and put a GoPro on? Everybody is doing that. I was like, what's going to set me apart? And it turns out what sets you apart is you.
Yes.
Yeah. But what sets you apart is you. Like, no matter who you are, don't let the idea that other people are doing it hold you back from doing it, because you've got a different voice. And it turns out it's very much true, right? Like you could see me come to my own over the course of a year on YouTube, and then transitioning to short form content and all this other stuff, but always being able to pivot and maneuver. And turns out I had a knack for it. I just needed to open the gates. You know what I mean? So it's like, you can't say that you're not capable. If someone is really wanting to do it, just start doing it, and then maybe you'll figure it out along the way, right? As is the case with most things.
Of course. So you mentioned a job that was kind of technical. So while you're mountain biking, you were probably like a weekend warrior with the occasional maybe night ride or afternoon ride during the week. So what type of work do you do?
So by trade, I'm still a broadcast engineer. So basically what that means is I work in radio. I have for some time now. It's really the behind the scenes of radio stations. So I build the studios, I maintain the transmitters. It's all the behind the scenes stuff when it comes to radio, which is funny because it's only now, like after doing this for a couple of years and really like starting to expand my influence, that people at the station are starting to realize that I do this. Like they didn't have a clue. And so I have a bigger following than all of our on the air jocks. Like I have maybe even combined, I think I have a bigger following than most of them. So it's kind of funny that their engineer is more popular than them. Don't tell them I said that.
No, that's awesome. They should have you on the radio and talk about.
Why would I do that? Why would I give them my content for free now? Right? Like,
so that's right.
Why would I give it to someone else when I'm building something for myself that they don't have their hands in, right? Why have a corporation grab it when I'm doing it all myself? Like, what could they add for me, at this point? So it's like,
just ears.
being on a radio show would be like, it wouldn't do, like here, I can reach anybody. There, I'm very restricted. It's like, it would be under their umbrella. Like, why?
Now,
and they're like, yeah.
Had you were always behind the scenes? You never got in front of the mic while you were in the radio biz?
I did an on-air shift. I did when I was at Sac State going to college, we did a show. There was another guy that I love. He was a great guy. He's out in Florida now. He's like a program director. He's overseeing a bunch of stations. Guy's extremely talented. His name was Adam. And so we made a show called, my middle name is Adam. So we called it Up and Adam with Adam and Adam. And that was the name of the show. And we did a little broadcast out of the Sac State, a very low power AM station. Nobody heard it, but I have buckets of tapes of our old shows. I'd love to break that out on a live stream one day and find some of the best clips. Dear God, I need to hire an intern to go through it. And so I did that. Yeah. And then I did a shift on one of our R&B and old school stations here in Sacramento. So I did it was a late night shift. There was a guy who voice track. Voice track means like, so he's out of San Francisco. All he does is log in remotely, put a track down and send it over to Sacramento. I would put the tracks in and then I would intro almost like we were co-hosting. I don't know how it sounded on the air. I honestly couldn't even tell you, but can you imagine like this goofy looking white dude on an R&B and old school station? Yeah, it's like, I don't know, but it was fine. I realized quickly that there was no money to be made, because most of the voice tracks and stuff are coming out of big markets. Sacramento's not that big a market.
Right.
There is money to be made. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, like for an up and coming, like at the time I was just a promotions person. It's like, it just seems unattainable, but I don't know. Maybe if I would have worked at it more.
So yeah, of course. But you've done the radio and you get to travel for the job, and that kind of allows you to go other places to ride. Although you've talked about you are going to be so busy in the coming weeks that you won't be able to do any riding when you're working.
Yeah, it's sometimes, but like what we're doing right now is we're installing new equipment. And when that happens, I'm just working 14-hour days. I don't have time. So it's like, we're going to go to Seattle for a couple of weeks. I'm just going to be absolutely slammed. Occasionally when you have a work trip, you can carve out a little time to go ride or something. But like, I don't try to plan it around that. I remember one time we were going to Salt Lake and they needed some gear, and we had just got bought out by this new company and their headquarters is in Salt Lake. So I was like, hey, I'll drive all the gear out there. And so I loaded the truck with a bunch of radio gear and my bike. And I ended up coming up a couple of days early, rode Park City, rode outside Salt Lake and did a bunch of just got a bunch of rides in while it was in a work trip. And it was awesome. I didn't chart. I took a couple of vacation days for the Park City stuff, but it was awesome.
Yeah, that's it. So you're riding the locally. You get your GoPro, right? Mm-hmm. And you want to be more creative. So how did that process come together where you go buy the GoPro? Like, I'm going to do this. Let's go for it. The thought process is I'm just going to do exactly what Brian's doing. Yeah. I'll be wildly successful any day now. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, what else are you going to do? Like at that point, right, writing vlogs is all there is. And that's all I know. So my format is very similar to Brian's for the first year of my content or something. It wasn't until I was on a live stream or something, or no, Paul Punter was actually on a live stream. He had mentioned me at this point, like still very early in the game. So the fact that Paul knew who I was like, whoa, like this guy knows who I am. He's a big time guy. Like I still had no following. I had nothing, you know? And he was like, you know, that guy, wait, can I do it? Wait,
yeah,
let me find British. Okay. He goes, that guy would have been huge if he started 5 years ago. That's an Australian accent. Jesus Christ, that's awful. Look, I don't look.
It
sometimes
sounded like
I
a
do British.
beetle for a second, and then it just went sideways.
Yeah. It just went bad real fast. Anyways, he was like, that guy would have been huge if he started 5 years ago. And like I told him this too. I was like, man, for a while there, it kind of didn't upset me, but I was like, man, no way. I'm, you know, like, and then I just sat there and thought about it a little bit. It's easy to get mad about stuff. It's harder to sit there and think about what they mean when they say that. And Paul's like, the more I've become a great friends with Paul, is you realize that Paul just says stuff, and oftentimes it's accurate. And it's like, you can't get offended by people just say what's on their mind and stuff. It's like they have a reason for saying it. So if you learn to open up to people's criticisms and thoughts and maybe understand why they said something, it really opened up and changed how I started developing content. So after that, it took me a couple of weeks and I started, well, what is it? What is it then if it's not this? And so then I started really learning video production and intricate video production. And then so I started making just really wild videos, and I'm really proud of a lot of those videos, despite the fact that I can't figure out how to market them with thumbnails and titles. So nobody saw them, even though like they're really good. Like 10,000 views to me seems like nothing now. And I'm getting like 3 million views, 4 million views, like all on this other short form content. But yeah, so it was a catalyst for change, and I'm always open to that. It's very easy to just shut it down and be like, no, I'm right and he's wrong. But it's harder to listen. And so be open to it. And then, you know, when the long form content kind of like started not frustrating me, but like just putting so much work into it and so much time and then very little reward. And then I started doing some short form stuff, and it started exploding. And it was like, wow, where do I spend my time? What's rewarding me and what's not? So that was kind of the catalyst to transition to some short form stuff. So it's always been an evolution for how to develop content and how I produce it. And there's no wrong answer. That's the best part. Like I could just make whatever I want. It's just, you know, figuring it out as I go. And so the short form stuff's been wildly successful.
Yeah. But the whole thing is, it's yours. It's, you know, it's your style, your input, and nobody else's. And it's your personality. I will tell you that the reason why I watch your videos is because of your personality. You're freaking funny, and you just know what you're doing behind the camera to make sure that everything looks pristine. And so I appreciate that, and I want you to know that. And I'm sure others out there who might see this interview with my measly subscriber base, but you know, I'm sure that they appreciate it as well, because you can tell that you put a lot of thought in the concept of the video that you're doing, and then taking the time to shoot it. And so that's really important, and you should definitely, you know, cheer for yourself.
I can't, man. I'm always just moving forward, always moving forward. You know, you like to think like, oh, that one did well, but it's like, there's always something to criticize. I do like this is always my favorite part of the interviews, when I just get complimented. This is like, we should just do this for an hour. I'm on board with that. Yeah.
So how did you trust so for a lot of content creators, right? We have ideas. Like I've had the idea to do this interview thing, and then, you know, eventually I'll be making riding videos. And the initial concept of what I wanted to do was go ride with people and then have a sit down interview with them. I used to bartend, so I thought, you know, why don't we sit at a bar and we just have a chit chat and I can interview you. So that's where it started. And so, but we have these ideas, but the problem is most people don't make that leap. They don't make the leap to try to make something happen. Where did you find that in yourself to make that leap?
I feel like I just had to do it. I saw people doing it, and I was like, I can do that. Like, why am I not doing it? And I just had to do it, man. Like, again, as I was working and I was finding that my creativity, like the reason why the way I've described it in the past is like, you know how somebody will say something to you and you have a quick comeback. Like somebody said something to me and I didn't have a quick comeback, and I was like, what happened to me? What happened to me? Am I washed up already? And so like, you know, it's like, that was one of the catalysts. And eventually but it was just like, hey, just go grab a camera and spend 3.5, 4 hours filming a 2-minute video and just to completely flub everything up, but just get out there. And it was the start. And then of course, once you start editing and getting playing in that game and learning, it's like a puzzle piece. And as you start to bring the pieces together, it's like solving a puzzle. And like, that's interesting in itself, you know? And it's so like, then I started getting obsessed with editing and stuff and just learning and always trying to pick something new to improve upon as I did something. So it was always like, I was being self-taught all the way. Like when I went to college, I came out with a digital media degree, but it didn't really have anything to do with video production per se. So it was like more, technical side and all that stuff. So like all the video editing stuff, I knew about radio, but all the video editing stuff all came through just doing it and learning myself. And I'd pick up camera tricks. You go watch movies, you're like, dude, I like that. How can I do that? And so
right.
you put those little tricks in your videos and you figure out how to do those little things. And it's like finding new angles and ways to present things. There's like, it's pretty cool. It's, anyways, it was a passion just to like improve that skill. And I am going to get back to long form content too. I've got some good ideas. It's just time maintenance. It's like the hardest part. The hardest part is time.
Yeah. It's the most difficult thing. And you are an ideas guy. You kind of show off what your phone, you have like a scroll of like 300 video ideas and they just,
yep.
When is the most creative time for you to like create that list?
It's funny because like, yeah, you talk about the video ideas. It's like I can put it up on camera right here, right now. It's not gonna, of course it's going to focus. Don't just steal any of the ideas. Yeah. These are all copyrighted. Okay. Watch your mouth, everybody. Yeah. I'm going to scroll through them fast so you can't see them. But I find that quiet times are thought provoking. But also like when I ride my bike into work or when I'm driving and I've just got music playing, like something will just pop in my head and I just really just kind of try to jot it down as fast as I can and I can flesh it out later. But as long as the idea is there, you can always bring it forward from there. But I have to take a note of it because otherwise my mind just forgets it fast. So like I have to just jot it down, put it in there, and then I can revisit it later. But as long as it's in the notebook, some ideas are bigger than others and they eat at me and I have to make them before I move on to something else because it's in my head. Like for example, the bike park one, I've been thinking about that one for weeks. And Jiro reached out and I was like, this is perfect because I don't want to make it with the Bell Red helmet. I wanted like the new helmet and all that stuff. So it was a good partnership in that regard because they sent me the helmets and I was like, dude, as soon as they come in, I've got this idea. But I had already had that idea and then I had to go to work travel for like 2 weeks. So I'm sitting on this brilliant idea and I finally got to make it. I was excited. It took me all day to set up all the props for that reel. It was like shoveling dirt to fill the bucket. It was like setting up the table out in the front yard with the fan so I could pull the dirt into it and push it into my face. And it was like it took forever to film that one, but I think it was worth it. I find that sometimes the ones that have the most suffering sometimes do really well. Like the one where I crashed, which people still
ask you about
on YouTube they're still very convinced it's fake, the injury. And then like some people are like, wait a minute, the other guy has the same injury. I think it's real. Like why? I don't know why people thought it was fake. It's obviously it was bloody as hell in the reel, but millions, it's like 2.6 million on YouTube alone views for that as a short. And then it's got even more on Instagram and TikTok, or I don't know. It's all over the place. No, TikTok blocked it because I've got a scrape on my arm. They called it sensitive content, so I totally got screwed on TikTok on that one.
Wow.
Apparently, kids can't handle scrapes on their arms. I don't know.
We're getting soft, Joe.
Damn
we're getting soft.
Damn it. So, yes, but once I make the big ones, sometimes I have those big ones in my heads, and then like the random like dad joke ones, and like all the floodgates can open back up. I can make a bunch of little ones and just play around, and who knows what's going to hit. It doesn't matter. But the best part about short form content is you can make it, push it out, and move on to the next thing and have no consequence. When I was doing YouTube stuff, and I still will, trust me, but when you spend 30 hours editing a very intricate video and nobody watches it, dear God, man, how punishing is that to your psyche? And it was like nobody in the sense that like, say 4,000 or 5,000 people watch it. Like to me, like that seems like low numbers now. And that made it sound stupid, but like you want a certain level of reward. So when I transitioned over to short form content and I saw like these skyrocketing views and engagement and all that stuff, you're like, I feel like I'm being rewarded for the time and effort I'm putting in here. It's cool because like, that's what I wasn't getting. I felt like I was always struggling. And so now it's opening up the floodgates, and then there's more potential all across the board on every platform now. It's cool.
That's great. So do you think, so the time, are the shorts taking as long as the long form video, to make?
No, I've made a horrible mistake though. Now I'm like putting way more time into them. And so I tell you, like the thing that made it so fun was the fact that I could just go out with my phone on a ride, like make something funny. And now I'm filming them with the Sony. I'm editing them in Premiere. I'm like, I've turned it into a YouTube video now. Damn it. What have I done? The best part was I put minimal effort and come away with millions of views. And now I'm like, oh, now I've done it. Now I'm just overproducing again. This is the classic example of the Calirado Kid channel is overproducing everything. And so like, then it turns out like when I go broadcast live from a brewery with multiple cameras and the A10 Mini and I do the setups and I do all this stuff, like who the hell is broadcasting live from breweries for a mountain bike live stream? And it's an insane amount of work. You got hours of setup, but here I am overproducing as always. So I always take something and then I take it way too far. So that's where I'm getting to. Hopefully I don't get burnt down on it because of that. Because like, yeah, I have a tendency to go overboard sometimes for sure. Guilty as charged.
Yeah, but it shows, man. As a viewer, you can appreciate that overproduction, and it's missing. That's one of the things, like you said, back when BKXC started, and all those other people, Seth. They were doing the trail videos, and Seth was doing other things other than the riding videos, but that was taking place, but the production value wasn't there. You have GoPros, and some people didn't even have their my brain's fried. Didn't have their
gimbals. Their gimbal or anything.
And then gimbals come along and that changes thing. And then of course GoPro updates their cameras like every 6 months or so. So you have to invest in the new ones. So
yeah, they've convinced everybody that the GoPro Hero 10 is any different than the Hero 9, and plenty of people dropped $400 on that thing. Suckers.
I was there at 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and I didn't buy 9, and I haven't gotten 10. Although I've been tempted because I'm signed up for the EWS 100 at Burke Mountain in Vermont in 2 weeks, and I was thinking about getting the 10 because you're not allowed to have a gimbal on. You have to have it on your helmet. It has to be a breakaway, or it has to be on your visor. And so
you can't do a chin mount on a full face or anything.
No, I don't. They won't let you do that.
Okay.
So we'll see how that goes. But
is that specifically because your reputation is the crashing Boston Don in Ireland? Is that what happened? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's because of me. It has absolutely nothing to do with me. Although it would be cool if that was the case.
Hey, did you see the Boston Don take a big crash today? Hey, it's like my accents aren't on point today. It's fine.
Don't worry, it's okay.
Yeah.
So does technology help you in your content creation?
It helps and it hurts, as with anything else, man. Like every time you get a new invention or something, you think it's going to make your life easier, and it makes it harder in 10 different ways. Like, it's very true with technology. Like I'm a big fan of it, but like sometimes it just annoys the crap out of me. So, like the simplicity is always key. When I build air chains for radio stations, the goal is to have it as simple as possible. I feel like I'm way out of frame here. Let me get in tight here. All right, look. Because I'm right dead center. Look, technology can get as advanced as you want, but if it doesn't work, it's pointless. You can spend all the money you want, but if it screws up every time, it wasn't worth it. So you got to like find that balance of like, having, a really reliable setup and something you can trust that if you take it out in the field, you can know it's going to work. Luckily, I have battle tested this live stream setup and it seems to be reliable for the majority of the time. So this technology seems to be working for me. I've got a new board here, the Rodecaster Pro 2. But yeah, it's a hindrance sometimes for sure, because you want it to work and sometimes it doesn't. But luckily, the setup has been pretty dialed lately. It's been pretty dialed.
I would agree, and I can't wait until you do your fireside chats again, because
and I've kind of retired them because it's so you can see it's still light out. Like one of the benefits to me of the fireside is the lighting. And so like when it's not dark out, it looks like a couple guys sitting around the outside. But like when the lighting's perfect and it's nice and warm light from the fire and it looks really good. Oh man, that's my favorite.
It is. That's what hooked me, man, was it was you and Paul the punter. That hooked me in because I was like, what the heck is this? The guy has a 3-camera setup. He's got an A10 mini. I know we're talking about tech stuff that nobody will understand, but me and you.
Yeah.
And I just was floored by the quality of the live stream. And I just had, from there on, I was watching your videos and I can't, like I said, I can't wait till they come back. And I know it's all like dependent on the time of year, of course.
Yep. Yeah. And I always guarantee people, if they come into my live streams, you should pretty much be wildly entertained. Like it's meant for entertainment purposes more than anything. You can, as you can attest to a recent live stream where I just talked a lot of crap about Bell helmets, only to find out, because Jiro sent me helmets, only to find out that they're under the same parent company. So I was talking to the guy today, and he was like, yeah, he was explaining it to me. I was like, well, that's kind of a classic Calirado moment. I think people expect the buffoonery a bit, and the fact that I don't know what the hell's going on. So it adds to the charm. What are you going to do?
What did he have to say about it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, what are they going to say? Like, he was cool about it. It was like, whatever. He's like, oh, we're kind of like, we're in the same umbrella, but it's not like, anyways, now that I know about it, will it change anything? Will I correct myself in the future? Highly likely I won't. No, I mispronounced their name today on a story. And he immediately reached out. He's like, that's not how the name's pronounced. I'm like, well, this is just going splendid, isn't it? It's just going really well.
Now, how's it pronounced?
Jiro.
Okay.
But I said gyro because I had a conversation about Greek food not but a few hours prior. I was talking about gyros. In fact, the story goes like this. My wife, we were looking at gyros and we were talking about one of the local spots and they put French fries in their gyros. Okay. And to me, I was like, I feel like that's an American gyro because who the hell, like French fries, of course, Americans want to figure out how to get fatter. So we put French fries in it, right?
Right.
Turns out that's not the case. In Greece, they put potatoes and French fries in it. So I was like, well, I was completely wrong. So I was very dumb. And so when I made this little story post, I said gyro instead of Jiro. He reached out and said, just so you know, I was like, I did know that. I just screwed it up. It's fine. The best part is it's going to increase engagement because people are going to reach out to me. They're going to go, dude, you said it wrong. And I'll be like, yeah, I know. Okay. I did it on purpose is what I did. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Now when I have a gyro, whatever.
Yeah, gyro. Yeah, we're gonna screw it up. I'm just gonna say it wrong every time. He's gonna love me. Oh my
god! Now I'm gonna be screwed when I go to Athens Pizza to get a gyro. There we go.
Yep.
I'll have to get some fries and see how it is. That sounds amazing.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that I like the fries in, but if it's authentic, I mean, I'll get it that way if I go to Greece. Whatever.
Of course.
Yeah. I'm on board.
Yeah, of course. So you're getting you've become popular as a content creator on YouTube. You've moved to shorts. You upped your Instagram, Reels game, and then you add TikTok to the mix. What do you see as the future?
I got to make my own Calirado Kid platform. That's really what it's got to be. It's got to be like Calirado Talk or something, and then I'll make the billions. Okay, that's really how this has to go. Who the hell knows, man? I'm just winging it as I go along. It's all time for me right now. The more time I have, the more crazy stuff I'm going to get into. So I don't know. I'd love to like host something one day where, a company pays me to just travel around the globe and host something. I don't know what it is. I don't know. There's some void that I can fill that I don't know what it is yet. So it's like something's going to happen one day. Somebody's going to reach out and be like, that is a good idea. Let's do that. So, but in the meantime, again, it's hard to argue with the fact that anybody can do this. You could build your own thing now. Like you can do it, whether it comes to video games, mountain biking, fishing, doesn't matter. You can create your own brand and build an audience and get people on board. It's crazy. And like, when we were growing up, we didn't really have that. Like there was you had to go through the gatekeepers. You had to go through, like if you were starting a band, you had to go through record labels. You had to do all that stuff. Now you can put it up on YouTube. You can put it up on all these music services and you can gain popularity yourself. You don't need anybody else. And when somebody else jumps in, it helps because their audience becomes your audience. But like as a whole, you can build your own thing. It's cool. And I love it. I tell my kids that like, you could just build your own thing. It's like, that could be your job.
Yeah, of course. Years ago, I tried to be an MTV VJ and I came up with my own promotional campaign where at the time I was a bartender and server. So I had created postcards that had Don DeMoss could be, we want Don DeMoss as a MTV VJ. And there was a spot for reasons why. And then it had they could put their address, age, and telephone number. on the front page or on the front of the postcard was MTV's address. So I'd hand these out for a couple months, and then I contacted a guy who wrote for Billboard magazine, telling him what I was doing because nothing was happening. And he wrote a little 2-paragraph blurb in Billboard magazine about what I did. And he's like, "Get on the ball, Don. Call MTV." And I did. I just wasn't. And they asked me for audition tape, so I made a crazy audition tape and sent it to him. But I never heard back from him. So one day I had never gone to New York City, so I flew down on a jet. One of those. I can't. Why can't I talk?
Just tell everybody it's a private jet. It's fine. Yeah, you booked a private jet. You flew down and you punched Carson Daly right in the face.
No. This is a little bit beforehand. But I went to MTV's offices and I say, "I'm here to talk to so and so. I'm Don DeMoss." And so they put me through, and the guy was busy because I showed up at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and I tried to make things happen, and nothing. As you can see, I'm hosting my own YouTube interview show instead.
Imagine if you showed up every day, maybe right. Who knows what the hell would have happened? Who knows what kind of persistence, just got to keep knocking on the doors. Who knows?
But it's one of those things where, you take a chance, you took a chance to create your YouTube channel. I've done this. I started my own, the whole thing with the pandemic. We all had to kind of pivot in a way, and so I invested in myself. I got myself a new computer, got cameras and lights, and, learned the software and stuff. And so that, as you say, anybody can do it. You just have to put your mind to it. And so that's one of the cool things about you, is that you did it and you're successful.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I don't know. It's like you have to define success. Your definitions of success also can be adaptable. Like, you can set out with a goal, but maybe that's not what ends up being the reward, right? Like right. I've said this before, like when you first start out, like, oh, I'm going to get free stuff from brands. Like, I'd love to get free stuff, and I'd love to like get tons of money. And like, really, even then, that's not how I started this whole thing, by the way.
Right.
But like, I was like, dude, I would love to just like be recognized on trails. How cool would that be? And so it turns out like we've done that. But so when you define success, like you can't just like stay there. And so I'm like, okay, well, as you start to develop it, you realize like that the friendships that you formed over the course of this whole thing turn out to be one of the biggest rewards of this, like meeting other content creators, just meeting cool people in the area and all over the globe and talking to them. And then maybe one day getting a chance to ride with them. It turns out that network that gets built from this whole thing is the biggest reward. And then, everything else comes as a result. So it's like, it's fun to see it all built. But I'm stoked, man. I like that there's a huge network of people that I can talk to and get advice from and things like that. They know who I am. I know who they are. And it's getting global now. When I start a live stream on Instagram, it's like global. There's people all over the place. Germany, Switzerland, all these places. And they all chime in. And it's like, wow, who would have thought? And so that's like really fascinating to me. And it's only going to grow theoretically, unless I screw something up royally. But it turns out, the people are the coolest thing about this whole thing. And so everything else will come with time. I'm like you said, I'm an ideas guy. All right. I come up with good ideas, but the execution of like business stuff and things like that has never been my specialty. So I just like entertaining, and I set out to entertain the pants off the world, and I'm not there yet. I've only got 31,000 followers on Instagram. I got a long ways to go.
That's a lot of people.
It's not enough.
It's not enough. I understand that want for more adulation, from your masses,
There is an infinite amount of people to follow, and I haven't touched, I was going to say I haven't touched them all, but I've touched a few of them.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I was making sure my wife wasn't listening. No. Yeah. It's, there's a lot of room to grow. And you think about how many people are out there and how many likes and clicks and all this stuff. It's just like, there's an infinite potential. Like a great experiment I ran recently is I took the first video that I ever had that went viral, which was the mountain bike guitar one, got to 4 million views. It set a global trend. People were doing the guitar thing and started off with mountain biking. And then it ended up in workshops and surfers and like all over the globe doing mountain bike guitar thing that I did. And then they took the music off of Instagram. So it just kind of died. It was at 4 million plus views. That's not even that much. Like when you take into consideration that like Seabass got 32 million plus on one reel. Like, so there's infinite amounts of views available out there in this world. You just got to find them. And so since I took the music off, I decided to run an experiment. I was like, what happens if I re-upload the same reel as a Calirado classic, and with the new music, which happened to be trending, it was the same music, but it was just like, you know, re-uploaded and it was still trending. You could tell.
Yep.
So I uploaded it. Right. Currently, it's at 1.3 million views. And so that has been a proven experiment that it actually works. And you reach new audience that way.
Of course.
There's people that never saw it in the first time, because 4 million, that's nothing.
Right.
I mean, really, it's big. It's huge. It was world changing for me when it happened.
Of course.
But still, like, those numbers aren't very much, like, respectively, for how many people. So it's like, yeah, I'm looking at it now. It's at 1.3 million and climbing. So it's like that same video that theoretically my audience saw, a lot of people didn't see it. So it's like there's a lot out there, and a lot of the stuff. Sometimes I put stuff up as an experiment. Like, people don't know in the background what I'm doing, but like, I'm curious to see how something will work. So I do it, and it, you know, it either pans out. There's no real goal in mind. I'm just curious to see what it's going to do. So it's always fascinating. I like that stuff. It's forced me to learn a lot about the platform. And it's funny how much I learn about these short form platforms, like all that stuff, like how these things work. But I still don't know everything. So I'm working up to it. You know,
I'm sure you do. So speaking of the guitar video, you recently did an adaptation of your guitar video, and you have it. You put it out just recently based on the Stranger Things goings on, and can't have that. Oh, hold on. I'm
giving you guys this so you guys, it's me playing the guitar. You guys know Metallica. Sing it in your heads. Everybody knows the start of Master of Puppets. You don't even have to do anything.
Right.
But I saw this in Stranger Things, and I really actually, I kind of wanted to get a little bit more intricate with this, but like, then to do that, I would need another person up on the roof, because these skyward shots would need to have me, because there's another part in that scene that I wanted to fill. And I thought about, it would be funny if it was me, but I don't have the time to like mimic me on screen like Bobo does. He's really good at that. So, because there's another guy running the amp in the show, the kid. And so like, that'd be funny as hell as if I played the kid and I was like, yeah, like there was a couple shots of me doing that. That's kind of what I wanted to do. And then you could put like, if you could put CG and demon bats in the background, even better. But I think people get the point. As long as you can get the point across, like that's all you need. I think what people don't realize when they're doing content creation is like, you stick around too long. All right. You make your point and you get the hell out of there. And if you can do that, you can tighten up your content. It's going to be better, because like I see so many people that are like, here's the thing. And now we're at the thing. It's like, oh man, cut out the do and boom, you've got a tight edit. Like, so as long as they get the point, then they get the hell out. That's all I'm saying.
So for content creators, be it mountain biking or any other type of content, that's your suggestion, is to just keep it tight.
Keep it tight. Don't let them go. I'll say it over and over again. Don't let your audience go.
Wander.
Won't let them get. Don't let them get out of there. Just capture their attention and hold it steady until the video's over. Like, it's easier to do when it's under a minute. It's harder to do on a grander video. It's really hard to do, because, you know, you never know when people are going to click. They might figure out, oh, this video is not for me. You got to have a real banger to do a big video on YouTube and stuff. And like the greatest creators can do that easily. They can tell a great story. They can do all that stuff, and they can keep your attention through good narrative. And like, it does take that, but it's a skill that needs to be refined. So, you know, it all takes practice. Yep.
Yes. And but we're in a world where we just want things now, and people don't want to wait to learn the right steps to make the best video. They want the reaction right now. And so, you know, how do you change their attitude on that?
I mean, it's just a natural filter. I mean, you have to have like this need to pursue excellence to like really go far. And if you're just dabbling, like, that's fine. You're having fun. Who cares? Like, have fun, do your thing. But if you really want to make something of it, you've got to self-improve. You've got to constantly push boundaries. You got to constantly like, okay, I've been making this for 6 months. Like, what can I change? And I always tell people, like, if you want to get better, like, and we're diving deep into content creation now, but like, if you want to get better, just do one thing in each video. Like, when I was doing YouTube videos, I was like, okay, maybe if I was to do like a time lapse, let me throw a time lapse in there. I've never done a time lapse before. Maybe if I was to do, you know, a narration, I've never done a narration before. Just in each video, do something you've never done before, and then just start piecing it all together over the course. And you could do it one video at a time. It doesn't need to be some monumental change in your editing. But as you start to learn new techniques and things like that, speed ramps. So like, you can have like, you know, you'll see like, even in that reel, when it's panning around the final drone shot, I kind of ramp the speed. So it's like here, speed up and then slow back down. So you've got like a little, as I started to experiment with techniques, just one at a time, just a one at a time in there, start playing around, go watch a movie, say, how did he do that? And like, try to do that. Like, and then, you know, you can evolve your content. There's no wrong reason, but it's only the people that can take the punishment and it's the sacrifice to just put other things to the side that are going to succeed. Right. Because you have to stop playing video games. You have to stop, like, just like if you want to lose weight, Brian always says like, stop drinking sodas, you know, eat healthier, stop drinking beers all the time. And then you'll lose weight. If you're riding, it's going to work.
Yeah. Then you'll be cut like Ryan.
Not a lot of people. God, the guy's got abs of steel. Son of a bitch. Like every time we hang out, he takes his shirt off so I can see him. I don't appreciate it. Okay. I don't appreciate it one bit.
You'll see a keg right now from me. So I'm not gonna take off my shirt.
Yeah. No worries. No worries. I'm not there either. He's you know, damn it, Brian.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Shredded.
Absolutely shredded.
Bastard. So speaking of him, I found you, Paula Punter, live stream that he did, talked about you, production values, but I didn't realize that I had seen you in BKXC's videos about Everstoke. Like you were included in the beginning of those videos. And I didn't realize, I didn't put two and two together that you were in some of his videos. You were helping out with that project. How did he rope you in?
I didn't have to. He just said, I bought this property. I was like, what the hell? I'm coming up right now. You're not going to turn me away. I wish I could get out there more often, man. I know they're doing lots of building over the course of the weekends. Again, it's like, I think I told you before, I was talking to somebody today. It's like hard for me to abandon the family every weekend. So I try to have a happy medium where,
yeah, of course.
And so like a whole weekend's hard to ask, right? Like, yeah, if I can carve it, I'm going to be gone all day, like, okay, but the next day I'll take the kids and we'll all do a family thing or something. So at least I'm 50-50.
Right.
But man, carving whole weekends is sometimes really hard. But yeah, no, it was, he was like, dude, we got this property. I was like, what the hell did you just say to me? He's like, if you want to come, I was like, I'll be there this weekend. And so like, I was up there for almost a month, like every weekend for a month, just out there. And I was just loving it. And it's the best. Like it was wilderness at the time. Now we've carved out quite a bit of stuff, but at that time we're hiking up with machetes and cutting through brush and mapping trails out and building campsites and things like that. And it was just pure bliss, man. Like, cause you can go anywhere you want. The property is there. So we would just do big hikes up there and just scout it out. And it's fantastic. I love being in nature. I was like, man.
Okay. So you had experience in doing that. Not
dear God, no. As with everything else, you figure it out. You either, you invest in yes, right? Like, yeah. Let's go. Let's figure it out as we go. Like, what are you going to do, man? Like, I mean, what are you going to do? Say no to everything? I mean, let's go. No. Like, you don't know anything about anything until you do it. So it's like, yeah, we started going out there and like, we eventually got an Alaskan mill and milled some planks. And that's the bar back here is one of the, Jesus, I can't even figure out I'm reversed. No, wait. Perfect. That bar back there is that plank was milled from Everstoke and we cut the plank out and now it's my bar top in here. So that was a cool video. We did that. And yeah, I would love to be out there all the time. I find myself coming back refreshed from the world. I find that going to work is not rewarding in that regard. Like I just get weighed down on through the course of the week. I have to rebuild my energy. I've got to come back into the weekend strong, but like I come back from there and I'm like, man, I'm feeling good. Like imagine just being outside all day and just doing stuff. It's, but yeah, sometimes being cooped up indoors is weighing on my soul these days.
Yeah, I completely understand. So basically you live for joy, right?
I think maybe I don't have to, it's not like I have to be entertained or pleased all the time. I think in general, I think I've started to find a calling. And so now it's like the idea of building this thing. I told my wife the other day, I was like, I'm basically dedicating maybe part of a day to this a week now because of the way my work schedule has been and everything. I was like, imagine what I could do with 7 days a week. Like I'm always on it and active and talking with people in the background, but like in terms of filming and producing and imagine what I could do, but it's an impossible task at the moment. So one day maybe I'll figure it out.
One problem, not a problem. You have a family, you have a job. And so you have those responsibilities that take a higher precedence over making YouTube videos for sure.
Yeah, totally. And, the benefit is like, one, I like my life. The job that I have I'm really good at it. So I don't hate my job or anything like that. No. It's not like that at all. But it's like, man, when you go out and like you go on a big ride and you go adventure and stuff, you come back like feeling like you've experienced the world. You know, I don't feel like I'm getting that in the day to day, right? So it's like cool. And yeah, like you said, like when I'm making a certain amount of money, like I can't just be like, oh, let me go make $10 off of Instagram and I'll take care of you, honey. Don't worry. Like, so there's a lot more to it than that for sure. And it's fun because like on the weekends I go like, and when I say like family time, it's like we do good stuff. Like I took the kids out kayaking this weekend. We ended up harvesting like tons of blackberries, wild blackberries and grapes and just like all kinds of stuff. It's like, those are good. Those are proper adventures too. And like, that's what I mean. I like being outside and just doing stuff. So it's fun. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good.
Memories.
And so
with
like
your,
I've got to get Franco a new
family.
bike because it's a little too small for him now. So I got to get him a new bike, which is going to cost money. And then like Flora's a shredder. She's getting better. So it's like getting them out and getting them on proper trails. Dude, how awesome is it going to be just to go out on big rides with them? It's going to be so cool.
So wife and 2 kids?
Yep, that's right.
And they ride, and
right.
they all ride?
The wife is casually rides on the pavement with us sometimes. Yep. I don't think she has the desire for danger and death like I do. Like, unfortunately, like you know how we do, like we go in a downhill park and we're just like on the edge of death at all times. Like she doesn't really have that. And like, you know, most people don't have that actually, now that I think about it. But
no.
Yeah, so like doing a casual ride, she'd be on board with that for sure. But like, yeah, just going out and like doing some gnarly downhill stuff, there's a lot of working up to that. Like that'd be, you know, some time for sure.
That's a video series for Calirado Kid.
Yep.
Getting my
wife.
Getting my wife to do doubles, you know, at a bike park.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
No consequences at all, honey. You know, just
what could go wrong?
Yeah, right.
God. Yeah. How to ruin a marriage in 3 easy steps.
Well, it's cool that, you know, it's cool that the kids ride. How old are they?
Franco's 9 and Flora's 6. So they're still young and they're still learning yet.
Yep. So you have the ability to teach them, you know, a lot of things about riding. And so that's
if
exciting.
They listen, Jesus.
Well, maybe they will. You gotta, I would hope so. Cause that's would be the best experience. I don't have any kids. I wish I did. And I think it would be awesome to share a passion that, you know, I have with them. And so you have that opportunity and I think that would be so much fun. For sure.
Yeah, no, it's rad. No, we take them on all kinds of adventures. I want to do more camping trips, just nonstop. So there's infinite potential, and I wish there was more time for even more. Like it's just all we're doing is like whenever we can, we carve out time and we make it happen.
And when you told your wife that you were going to take a GoPro and go out to the trails and start shooting videos, what did she have to say to that? She's
been on board since the start. She's like, it's an ongoing gag, like, because I have the imaginary wife that I use for my Instagram reels where it's like me dressed up as my wife. And that's whenever I refer to it as like, my wife, you know, like it's almost like the comic wife that I'm referring to at all point. Like, cause she's always been like super supportive of what I'm doing. She's always made time to like, oh, okay, I'll take the kids. You're going to go film or whatever. So it's never been an issue. She's always kind of understand what I'm trying to do with it. Like, and now that it's starting to form into something really solid, like it's even better. It's like, so again, it's like, it's all just managing stuff, but she's fine. She laughs and she puts up with it, but yeah, it's she gets the joke. So we were just sitting around and I'll be like, watch my latest reel. Look what I got. And she's like, yeah, good. So her dad loves it and all that stuff. So
that's
it's
awesome.
Fun, man. It's good. Everybody's very supportive of it. I feel guilty carving out so much time for it. So it's like maybe with financial, stuff coming in, maybe that will help offset some of the guilt I feel about taking all the time to do it. You know what I mean? Like if I financially start making enough to like, oh, okay, this makes sense.
If Paul the punter works on some deals for you.
Yeah. There's stuff going on in the background always these days. I'm just trying to figure it all out myself. It's the Wild West, man. It's a goddamn Wild West. Yeah,
of course. But there's nothing wrong with that. You're on your own trail right now for sure. Yep. And one of the things that you mentioned was community. Like you have built a community. Like you put out an Instagram live at like 11 o'clock your time. And on a Saturday or a Friday night, and you have people jumping in and talking to you, so you've built up this incredible community and you should be very proud of that.
It is really cool. And it turns out I have a knack for talking. So it's, who would have thought? I'll go on a live stream. I did the other night. It was completely absurd. I did a 2-hour YouTube live stream. And then right after that, I jumped onto Instagram for another hour. Like what kind of maniac does that? So stupid, but it was the funnest thing. Like it was fun because the live streams, you get to interact directly with people. So it's like, that's kind of the prime opportunity. And so when it's not fireside chat season where we're outside, I don't get as much attention to chat then because I've got a guest physically there. We're talking, we're eating s'mores, we're doing all that stuff. But when I'm here and I'm in the studio with myself, talking to myself, it's much easier to interact with chat and cover topics and go on rants and stuff like that. So it's more, it's more talking to chat and hanging out. So it's cool. Like, and I think not a lot of people are in the live stream game these days. Like Biker does them, but Biker, when he does his podcast, doesn't really interact with chat because it's more of a podcast format. Right. Back in the days, I feel like mountain bike creators used to do a lot more live streams. It's less now. Like a lot of them don't do it. I think there's not a big reward for it, but it's fun, and I like to fly off the cuff, and I like to hang out with chat, and we get to cover topics, and then we can talk directly with people. It's like that's how you interact with your audience versus like, how else? Instagram chats and stuff. I mean, that works too, but sometimes it's fun to just jump in live and just fly off the cuff.
Yeah, of course. And that's my, my intent was to potentially do these interviews as a live stream because, having that interaction with fans. So like, if I had enough subscribers that would warrant doing a live stream, where I could, have my people asking questions as well as any fan of the person I'm interviewing, that would be amazing. I think that type of interaction that you're speaking of in your live stream, that's what me personally, I would love to have that happen for myself.
It takes time, and it also adds an element of difficulty because you've got to now count on like your live stream connection. You're hoping the guest things lines up. You've got all this stuff. There's more to it. Another way to approach that immediately is just like, hey, reach out like on Instagram, put a poll up and say, hey, like, you guys have any questions for my next guest? And then you can stack those for now and like things like that. But it's a good way to stack it ahead of time without going live. But like if you're doing it for podcast format too, like answering people's live stream questions is it's hard to say that that's beneficial for like a podcast platform because if the people watch it after the fact, oftentimes, as when I do a YouTube live stream, the majority of people that are in there are YouTubers, like we know each other. And there are people that aren't too, or whatever, content creators. And so we end up talking about tech like we're doing here. We would have lost everybody if they were thinking this was like a mountain bike podcast. Right. As soon as we said A10 Mini, they were out the door. You know what I mean? And so when you get people coming in post fact on a live stream and they're like, they're watching it after the fact, they're like, I wish you guys could just talk about mountain biking. You're like, those are the people that come in later and do that. But live streams don't benefit me at all. Like they don't benefit the channel. They don't sometimes I get donations and that is very helpful. That's the only way I'm making money on those things. But like they don't bring me subscribers. Nobody's finding my channel because of my live stream. So what it is, it's purely community based. Like it's a sacrifice because oftentimes if you look at the live streams, it's like -1 subscriber. Like, God damn it. Like, so, it doesn't do anything beneficial for my channel other than we just get to hang out. And so like, I'll sacrifice a couple hours of my day to do that. It's fine.
Yeah. Cause that again, builds your community and gives us something. The viewer gets you in a different type of format. And that's kind of exciting to be able to
even more importantly, it keeps you sharp. Like if you can dial in a good live stream and nobody else is doing it and they're doing once every few months, like they don't know what the hell they're doing. You come in fresh off the game. Nobody's going to touch you. All right.
Not at all. Especially the way that
sometimes
you do
I do stuff. Yeah.
Grabbing your whiskey bottle and having a shot.
Yep, 100%.
That's something good when you put your sunglasses on just to make a point.
Yeah. You gotta really just make sure people know what's going on.
Props.
You can switch your cameras. It doesn't matter. Everything's fine. Look, you just got to let them know what's going on in here,
Yeah, of course. And now you're stuck.
Backfired. It backfired. Unbelievable. Wow, what the hell is going on here?
You weren't. Oh, you can't hear me. You weren't Poncherello.
No, I can hear you. It's fine. Everything's fine.
That's good.
Look at that. Gorgeous.
We're back at it again. I almost took a screenshot of your mustache and I was going to make one for myself, but I remember
a lot of people have tried. This doesn't work.
The tribute to Calirado Kid recently, there was that young lady who
Jess the maker. Jess is incredible.
She had her own mustache and I was like, well, that's I can't do that.
I know. Yeah. I'm convinced her. I was like, start putting your stuff on YouTube as shorts just to get going. I was like, you need to be on YouTube. I'm a firm believer that like as a female content creator, we need more of that, first of all.
Yep.
And secondarily, like, we need that so that other women can go, hey, it's okay to get into that sport. It's not just dudes.
Right.
It's like we need diversification in the sport in general. It's like, man, when you see somebody talented, you're like, you gotta, please, dear God, make more content for people so they can find you and go, well, I could do that too. Because you can, like, I want to see more of that, like, the BKXCs of the like, what is it? Does it make, like, I like the idea of getting more people into the sport and not just being a bunch of white guys at the top of the trail. Like, it's
right.
It's so cool to see, and I'd love to see more of it. That's all I'm saying.
So, speaking to that, what do you do to encourage people to mountain bike and get on the trails? I know that you have joined other, like, not organizations, but other trail groups and doing rides, and you've done a couple live streams to help, at benefits and stuff. What else? What else are you doing to make that happen?
It's hard to say now with the short form content. It's a little different. It's one thing when you're making like videos for the trails. Like, I was out there doing ride videos and stuff. Now people can see that and go, I want to ride that trail. Like, but Brian's got that covered, man.
Yep.
Like, I'm not really doing that anymore. So, people see my funny stuff. It really relates to mountain bikers. But anytime I see anybody on the trail that seems like they're new or whatever else, I'm happy to guide them around. I'm happy to show them the trails. I'm happy to, just be there, offer advice. People ask me questions on Instagram. I just remembered I didn't answer somebody back because they asked me a very technical question. I forgot to respond back with, like, you're barking up the wrong tree. Yeah, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Do you want to answer them now?
No, I don't know where it went. I got so many messages I have to scroll way down. I feel bad. I try to respond to way too many messages, unfortunately. But I try to respond genuinely. So it's like, people reach out and have questions about whatever. Like, when they say, like, oh, what bike should I get? I'm like, I don't know. Have you watched my content? I don't know any of that stuff. Like,
right.
So, but I mean, like, all I could do is show how fun it can be, and maybe that'll get people interested. I think more with, like, the riding videos and more produced videos like that would get people. What I'm doing now is, like, probably not going to bring as much people into it. But again, locally, whenever I see somebody, I'm like, yeah, whatever you need, just let me know. I'll try to help out as much as I can.
That's great. That's great. Because we need more. Well, here in Massachusetts, we have, state parks that have some open, they have hiking trails and they have mountain bike trails. We have an organization for New England. It's called New England Mountain Bike Association. Like, it's called, it's NIMBA. And so each year, in fact, this weekend, I think they're having what they call NIMBA Fest. So it's a festival in a location. For years, it was up at Burke Mountain up in Vermont and in the Kingdom Trails. And you pay a certain amount of money and you have access to all the trails, and it's a festival for mountain biking. And I know in California, you guys have a lot of trouble, like in Northern California, with ride access. And so how, as a mountain biker, how do you feel about certain parts of, parks, are not allowing you to ride a mountain bike?
I see less of it where I'm at. Like, the Marin County stuff is always a fight because, like, those guys go out there and build wild trails, and it's like one of the birthplaces of mountain biking.
Yeah,
and
of
it's
course.
like, you can't get trails built. It's like, that seems absurd, especially, like, there's just a lot of hurdles in place. I don't know a lot about the political game when it comes to that stuff. I know that our local trail organizations have started to build some pretty solid relationships with state parks and things like that. So it's all evolving. One of the triumphs that has happened recently is up in Nevada City, which isn't far from us. They basically got authorization to build new trail systems. So they've got authorization to build 5 dedicated downhill mountain bike trails, which is pretty much unheard of as in terms of being dedicated. Everything out here is multi-use. So, like, the fact that they are doing that is amazing. And they were able to cut one in 18 days. So there is now one fully functional trail. It's called the Talon Trail. Bonk has worked to build that. They got a dedicated climbing trail back out, and they'll be building about 4 more in that small network that's already next to another network of trails. So it's cool to see that they have got the authorization, and they've done the legwork. The political game is done, and now they're actually building it. It's really cool. So there's a lot of potential up here. I think there's more understanding here out in the Downeyville area too, and all that stuff, than like the Marin. And normal mountain biker could probably explain that. My buddy Justin Nemi from the East Bay Rippers, they know a lot about that battle. I'm further up, and I don't go that far into like Marin and Santa Cruz that much. But they've got a harder battle than I do, for sure.
It doesn't, and what gets me is it doesn't have to be that way. You know,
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
it's
It's hard because like when you're building, the Groms are out there building illegal jumps on property that's not theirs and it gets bulldozed. You're like, man, that sucks because that's their outlet for creativity and having fun with their friends. But it's also not their property. It's like, man, it's like, both sides of the coin, right? You're like,
yeah,
dude, maybe, but the trick was, I think, getting awareness to like find out how to make it so that we could build those things and make it okay. Like, it's like, man, if everybody can learn a little bit and do that. So now we've got a bunch of like Auburn Bike Park and a bunch of other places that have got rad jumps and they're sanctioned and all that stuff. It's like, man, so there's, as a result, those fights bring about awareness and understanding how to do it better and in a legal way. And so,
yeah,
it's both sides of the coin. It really is because it sucks. It's like, yeah, oh yeah, I don't want those kids to go have fun, you idiots. Like, and then of course, like you see like the liability side from, and maybe that's just me being a grown up, but it's like you see the liability side. It's like the state's like, I don't want these kids back here jumping where nobody can get to them if they injure themselves. Like it's like that's kind of terrifying too. So who knows? I mean, yeah, it's everybody's getting more aware though. That's a good part.
yeah. You see it. I have friends over in the UK, and they come up against it as well over there. You know, where they're building trails and they're
Mm-hmm.
not legal, and so then they have having municipalities coming in and bulldozing their part, their trail systems and that the kids have built, and it's a
Yeah.
shame that it comes to that. But as you say, there's a way to do it through advocacy, where you go in as a group. So you get yourselves together, and then you present yourself to whatever law, of the town or the city. You go to them and you work with them, and that's how you get it done. And that's how they're starting to do it over in Ireland now, where they're realizing that they if as a group they can get more done, and they get their trails legal, which is
Yeah, and
nice.
the crappy part is sometimes that takes years and sometimes it never happens at all. So I can see how like the frustration sets in with these people that are out there building. It's pretty tricky. So yeah, you never know. You got to try your hardest, and sometimes you just got to like out in Santa Cruz, they just build it, and then hopefully nobody dies. Like I know people have gotten airlifted out of there before, but it's an incredible trail system that's secret, despite the fact that when you go there, hundreds of people are at the trailhead. Like, but it's a secret area. Yeah.
Yes, I know. I know some
But
people.
you gotta respect it because, like you don't want to upset local trail, but they're doing all the hard work, man.
Yeah,
Like we're not doing it. I don't go ride there very often. I've only ridden there once actually, so I don't go out there. But like you have to respect the trail builders too, even locally. Like there's some places where if they're building it, like don't be just putting it out there. Like
yeah, no
just let them
Strava.
do their thing, and don't be the guy that screws it up for everybody because you didn't do the hard work. If you built the trail and you're okay with it, fine. But there you
Right.
go.
Wow. So you live in California, and
Mhm.
you have gone to Arizona, and that is like a mecca for mountain biking. I know you were there very recently. You did a race out there. What was that experience like in comparison to riding in California?
Somebody invited me to go ride in Arizona again recently. Like, dear God, no, I've been out there way too much. Like, I don't know how I ended up being in Arizona for so much time of my life these days. But yeah, we have, I've been out in the Sedona Mountain Bike Fest twice in a year, basically, because I was out in November and then again in March or whatever.
Mhm.
So I went out there a couple times. I wasn't planning on going the second time, but it worked out well. I've ridden South Mountain. I got invited to go out to Prescott, Prescott, which was the Whiskey Off-Road. The organizer of the event reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to come out and do a social media takeover? I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so that worked out well. They paid for expenses to come out there. It turns out the
Wow.
event was incredible. They know exactly what they're doing. It was really well organized. They had live bands come out. Like it was just a super awesome event. Absolutely punishing because I've never done a race before, but it was really cool. So that was a great experience. And so I've been all over the Arizona, and somehow I need to get back to Colorado because they don't call me the Calirado Kid for no reason. I lived out there for a couple of years, and I better ride there more often. Otherwise, they're going to start calling me the Calizona Kid. Yeah.
I've been to Colorado. The last time I was there was in Denver, because I used to work with comedian Bob Marley, and he would perform
Mhm.
at a comedy club in Denver, and I would be in the hotel room, and I'd look out and see all the mountains and just be in awe of the beauty of Colorado.
Oh yeah.
And I've never gone there for skiing or mountain biking, but now that I'm mountain biking, I definitely want to go to Colorado and check it out for
It's
sure.
absurd. It's ridiculous the density of trail systems, and like just go to Crested Butte. You could spend a week there, and just be amazed. Like, what more can you say?
Where did you live when you lived in Colorado?
I was in Denver, so I wasn't
Okay.
mountain biking at the time. I picked up snowboarding when I was in Colorado, but it wasn't until after I moved out, came back, learned how to ride here, and then I ended up riding Keystone. And now, and since then, I've just been all over the place in Colorado. I've ridden a bunch of places, and they've all been awesome.
Do you have a wish list that you've got on your phone, just like the list of ideas?
Every single trail that I could hit. I love riding new trails. Just, I just need it. I'm stoked. I'm probably going to ride Whistler in a couple weeks for the first time. Then I'll probably hit Squamish, and coming back down, I'll hit some stuff in Oregon. And those are the trips I live for, man. Just like getting out there and just improvising. I'm not a good planner. I haven't planned anything in this trip, and it's coming up in a couple of weeks here. So I don't even know what the hell's going on. I'll figure it out. It's fine.
I'm
just
sure. I'm sure.
Yeah, just like everything else. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants.
But there's nothing wrong with that. That's your that's your adventure that you're on, and it makes it that much more fun, for sure.
That's kind of what I've discovered. For a long time there, like I thought maybe I do need to like structure my content more and things like that. But I realized one of the things that sets me apart is my ability to improvise and be on the cuff and all that stuff. So I was like, why wouldn't I reward my certain specialty? Like, is that I can improvise. I can do things on the cuff. I can fly out. I don't need to write a script. I can do it. So like, maybe that's what makes it special. It's like, it's me, it's like I can sit down and write a script like Bobo does. Guy's incredibly talented at this stuff, but like, it's hard for me to like sit down and think, but if I get in front of a camera and turn it on and I go, like, it's different. So I've got to kind of find a happy medium, and I've done that, but I was like, why don't I just lean into it? It's not a bad thing. And so once you realize that, it's like, you just work towards your specialty and improve it. And then you can improve those other skills too. But it all takes time. But yeah, the improvisation thing and being able to come up with things on the fly and do all that stuff. Not a lot of people have that skill. So it's like, why not dive deep into it? You know what I mean?
I think you're one of the best at it. So
yeah. Yeah. And it's because it's a trained muscle like anything else. It's one of the reasons why I like doing live streams. Again, you have to do it. You have to train the muscle in your brain because you'll lose it. So you gotta, if you want to get good at it, you just got to keep doing it. And then it's fully revived my brain and the creativity side of things. So it's like, I just keep going at it. And it's like, yeah, that's why it's like, I don't like doing lives. I don't like going a month without a live stream because I like getting in and just chatting and improvising and winging it. And like, you gotta keep it fresh, man.
So it's not, you're not doing that on a schedule. You just do it kind of like a day or two.
Whenever I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I can make it happen. So like if I'm out of town for work, I planned on doing it, but I was like, dude, this weekend I can't. I'm just tired. Right. And so like whatever it was. And then, like, I'm like, you know what? I got a free night coming up in a couple days. Let's promote it. Boom. Let's go. Like, let's just wing it. Again, like the idea of setting up a schedule for like fireside chat and like lining up guests months ahead of time just hurts my head. That's not, this one day I'll have to do it. Cause like, it'd be cool to have some guests out of town and find a way to get them out here and stuff. But for the time being, it's like, it's usually like, hey Kyle, what are you doing tonight? So like, Paul, he was already in town. I was like, Paul, we got to do. And he's like, I can't wait. And Brian, I'd always wanted to be on one too. So it worked out when Brian, the old B-Kick, and I jumped on one, which is one of the greatest fireside chats in history because we did the Hot Ones challenge. And it was wildly entertaining.
It was wings, right?
Yeah, hot wings. Yeah, the Hot Ones challenge, and then we were just sweating, man. It was awesome. And I watched it. I rewatched it after the fact, and I was just dying laughing. It was great.
That's awesome. Great. That's fantastic. And yeah, that's you, man. That's what you do. Well,
I think one of the hardest parts to do, the hardest things to do in terms of content creation is to find chemistry with another creator. Yeah. And the benefit is that Brian and I have that already because we've known each other a long time. So like that one's especially good because we're just hanging out. And I think it shows. Same thing with Paul. I've known Paul for a long time. So we're just sitting there chatting back and bouncing back and forth. And so like, me as an interviewer, nobody's ever accused me of being an interviewer, but like to sit down with somebody I don't know and ask them things. I don't know that I've really stretched that muscle. Like, and I don't know, like to me, it's like, let's just get in and entertain people. Like, so it's like, I don't know that I've really tried that. I've done that occasionally, like when I broadcast live from the brewery, but most of the time I know those guys too. So who knows? It's a muscle that maybe I haven't stretched, but lining up people that I don't know to come and hang out at my backyard would be like weird. I think it's like fun to have people that I do know and have rapport with. And it turns out that's a lot of people now because like everybody knows who I am. So yeah.
Of course. You're Calirado Kid, man.
You're
it. You're Calirado
I'll stop
Kid
at nothing.
right there.
I'll stop at nothing for worldwide dominance. That's the difference between me and some other people. I just I crave attention. Apparently.
Were you loved? Were you loved as a child?
No, my dad hated me. It was just a set. No, I'm just kidding. No, our family was great. Like we went fishing and camping all the time. It was like, I don't really have anything to complain about. I don't feel like I crave attention from lack of attention. I think I just need all of it. So yeah, it's funny. I always joke around. I said like the start of the channel. What was the purpose? What was your goal when you set out with the start of the channel? I was like, worldwide international superstardom. And I think a lot of people started out very different. They're like, I want to find out how to make this into a business and make money and be financially independent. I'm like, no. I set out to be a superstar. You know, yeah.
Nothing wrong with that as far as
going well.
Yeah, of course. Now for me, like the reason why I wanted to, I just wanted to, like you said, you needed creativity.
Yep.
You know, and I have kind of lacked that for a while now. And so being able to do, you know, be able to do this, be able to talk to, you know, people and eventually we'll be doing the ride videos and having interviews afterwards, but it's creativity. Like I think a lot of humans kind of miss out on that whole thing for some reason, especially with the way that we are working as hard as we work in the United States. You know, we lose creativity.
I think, yeah, it's probably a global thing in certain regards, but it's like, I think in general, people often take the easy way because it's easy. Versus, and I'm not trying to preach like I'm some like revolutionary. Like I'm lazy too. I'm not great. Like, but like you have to like sometimes understand that like just because it's easy doesn't mean it's good. Like I've always said this, and I was listening to a podcast with Dustin Klein recently because he's another content creator I really like, and he said something. I was like, dude, I've always thought that too. Where it's like, if you like, for me, if you're not uncomfortable, you're not learning something. So I have no problem being uncomfortable in situations because, like, you know, I could be out in public filming a weird reel and people are looking at me funny, but like, am I embarrassed by that? Not really. No, I mean, like, it's sometimes odd that people are looking at me and wonder what I'm doing, like up on my roof, like with a guitar and a drone circling me, doing my bike as a guitar. But it's like, you know, whatever. Who else is going to do it if not me? So
right.
I don't know. You got to be uncomfortable. Like, get in a like. Just be, you know, making content, whatever it is. You gotta push yourself, and if you're comfortable, it's like, oh, I've done this a million times. I'm just gonna add this cut, and then when the video's out, done. Like it's routine for you now. Like
yeah,
so
and it's cheating yourself.
Push it a little further. Push it a little further. You know.
Yeah, it's cheating yourself. You're not expanding. You know, your creativity at all if you're just doing the same thing over and over again.
Yep. And that's where I'm doing with short form content now. I'm filming it with my Sony and editing it. It's like, oh, I'm just doing the same thing I'm always doing. Just take it too far. Damn it.
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
I know.
Well, Joe, I know I've taken up quite a bit of your time tonight. And yeah, as you, but you have an affiliate with, you have a, I can't even talk. I want to put you with your affiliate code or.
Oh yeah.
Let
me get in tighter. I got too much headroom here. You know, as a cinematographer, you can't have too much headroom in a shot. It's got to be that much.
Yes. And so you have a deal, not a deal, but you working with Worldwide Cyclery. And so,
yep. So Jeff reached out, and that was something I was really stoked about because they are content creators like me. They make funny stuff. They also happen to have a worldwide distribution network for mountain bike parts and anything mountain bike related. You could buy bikes, parts, anything and everything. So I was beyond excited to work with Jeff and Jared, and that's a partnership that's only starting. Like it's just gonna blossom over time, but really incredible company. You can buy anything you need from them, and I've got an affiliate link. So essentially, like, if you want to support the Calirado Kid channel, this is one way to do it. If you're going to buy the parts anyways and you buy it through the affiliate link, it does help me out a little bit. At the end of the day, like, you can't force anybody to do anything, but I know where you live and I can probably track you down real easy. So if you use the affiliate link, I won't come after you, all right? That's all I can say about it.
Yeah, just take a picture of that QR code and then you'll get linked to Worldwide Cyclery. And it'll help out. It'll help out Calirado.
Oh
that's perfect.
I'm terrible at this. Look, now it's like a Rubik's Cube now. All right, fine. We've done it. We've ruined it. Yeah, 100%.
No, it's okay.
Unbelievable. You know what I've discovered is like the click-through rate on anything is very difficult to attain. Like I could be the most popular guy in the world, which I'm nowhere near. But if I said, hey, go follow this guy or that guy, like the amount of people that do it is so infinitesimally small. Like it's crazy. Like people think like, oh yeah, like if that guy is big, he's gonna like really change my life. But it's like, man, people, you really got to convince them. And oftentimes, what it comes down to is you just have to produce the good content, and then eventually people will come. It's like Paul always said, it's I would be like, what happened to this video? It didn't do well. He's like, maybe it should have been better. I was like, yeah, Paul, you're right. Shit. So it's yeah, and then to quote Steve Martin, which is one of my favorite quotes of all time, is like, just be so good they can't deny you. You know what I mean? Like, be so good they can't ignore you anymore. And it's like, well, if you go about it that way, instead of trying to think that some dude's gonna like change my, like, just be so good they can't ignore you. And if you kind of try to work towards that, like then you're footing the bill on your own. You know what I mean? You're making it happen. It's not somebody else giving you a handout.
Nope, not at all. You should incorporate the arrow through the head bit from Steve Martin into one of your videos. Put that in your phone.
So good. So long of a list. So long.
I know. Well, I need to thank you again for spending your evening with me, being interviewed by Boston Don, which is me, everybody. And I want thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I look forward to, more short form videos from you. And also at whatever point you decide to make more long form videos, of course, those. But thank you again for spending the evening with me. And this has been so much fun. And I'm going to let you go for the evening, but don't go anywhere. But you know what I'm talking about. I'm just getting goofy now, but that's okay. So I will end this with Joe, and I want to thank everybody here who watched this video with Calirado Kid Joe. If you like this video, you can check out more videos here. As you know, you can go down there and subscribe, and definitely like the video. And I love comments. So if you want to leave me some comments, if you think I suck as a interviewer, let me know, because I can take it. I really can. So but I'll have more videos coming soon. And so everyone, have a wonderful day.